Hi, this is John, founder of ReservationKey. I am going to show some of the features of the new Reservations tab today. So here we are in the new tab. We've completely rebuilt it in a much more up-to-date language, and there's a lot of things to go through that you can now do on this section. So where to begin? Let's see. A lot of fields are clickable. You will see when you mouse over, you can click into it and you get information about the reservation. You can also click price, you'll get a breakdown. Taxes, you get the tax breakdown, etc. If you scroll down, if you've added a photo, we now have this photo option. You can see the photo right away. Also can see the star. Click on it, you get more details with the photo, and if their address or email or phone number were there, that would also show. Just like before, we also show any cards that are expiring. Status is slightly different. It's there. We have this line which has the status color, but if you want to expand it, that can be expanded. And that brings us to editing the columns. So over here, you click Manage Columns. I'm going to add the status, and now we can see the status right there, right on the screen. You can I'll reset everything to default for now, just to give an idea how that works. And I will. You can also see that we have custom fields. You can turn those on. You can also turn on all the different tax columns. So that's pretty convenient as well if you want to see your individual tax breakdown. Those fields can also be dragged and drop actually. So if you want to reorder things, you can just drag and drop in here as well. And then you can set up your own custom order that appears on the chart. Forgot I wanted to leave status turned on. Click done. So there we are. Clicking on the check boxes over here, you will get options to do various things. You can change the status. That was an option we had previously. You can also print, which pulls up the print dialog box, just a little bit different, but similar idea. You'll start printing right away. You can hide those reservations. Some users wanted to just be able to quickly hide rows, so that just takes them out of the view temporarily. And you can also delete reservations, which brings me to the fact that the delete button is missing. That is because over in the user settings, we take into account which settings are turned on. So here, this user is not allowed to delete reservations, so that's why that delete button was missing. You could also have it so the user is not allowed to change reservations. In that case, there wouldn't be none of those options for changing status or deleting. So here I've just taken that delete restriction off. Let's click search again in this month. And I think it might have been screwed up because we still had it open. Actually, I think you need to refresh the whole thing by clicking on reservations at the top. That'll reload the whole section. Now when we click the box over there, we will see the delete option shows up. Click delete. We have a big warning because delete is not something that can be undone. That's why we suggest going to canceled instead. But if you really want to delete, type delete now. And once you've typed that correctly, the delete reservations button will be activated. But I'm not going to delete these. Another interesting thing especially for users in different countries is the formatting all in here will also work with the new system. So if we change that to euro or pound sign, click save, and then go back and refresh the whole reservation section, we can see that now instead of a dollar sign, we have pound signs. I will just change it back to make sure that account stays with the right format. All right, so another interesting option is we can set up views and then save those views. So if you want to see just a financial view in the future, click Manage Columns. You select which columns you want. I'm going to deselect most of these just to get started. And let's see, I would like status and ID. And then I want all the financials. I don't need most of the information on the dates. Don't need the booking date. And I want just a couple of the tax columns. And there we are. So now I'm going to click Done. So we have all the columns that we want showing. So once we have that all set up, we click Options, click Saved Views. And then now you could save this view as Financials. If you want, you have an option whether to include also the date range or any filters that were previously set up. Financials this month. And then click Save. And now you'll see you can select from different options of the saved views. Let's just close that for now. And then just to show how it works, I'm going to reset back to the default and click Done. Now we see all back to default. Go back into Options, Save Views, and loads up the views. And we can click Financials this month, load, and that'll reset everything back to how we had it set up before, which is really convenient. You can have different, basically it's like having a different custom reports. One more thing I will go through now is the filters options. So expand this. Here we can select different properties, different rooms to show if we just want to see certain rooms, certain properties. These will also be restricted by the user's restrictions. So if user has access to only certain rooms or properties, they will only be able to select those that they have access to. We can also show reservations just with an outstanding balance. These were previously just separate checkboxes. We've condensed them all into this menu now to make them a little more convenient. We also have an option tax exempt. I don't think this account has any tax exempt, but let's just have a quick look. Nope. But then they show right there as well, so you can see easily what you've already selected. Also, maybe if we do a larger date range, we can pick up some reservations that might qualify there. No, it doesn't look like it. We can pick up stars. I think we had one reservation with a star. What's the one with the photo? Probably doesn't have an outstanding balance. Yep, there it is. We don't have the guest information showing, so we don't see it, but that would be the one. Anyway, you can pick up multiple statuses to show. Before we only had one status at a time, so now it's convenient. You can select statuses. Also rate plans. Okay, finally, let's look at an interesting, and then you can also clear filters. But anyway, let's look at what happens when we use some natural search terms. Let's go back to our default view though. Reset all that to default, click done. So we can see the guest name at least. Some of these other. We can now search on basically using natural language instead of manually having to adjust a bunch of filters. So let's try show me reservations for Smith. And it should filter just by Smith. Of course, you could have just typed Smith, but I'm going to make this a little bit fancier. So now it's showing all the Smith ones for this year. Now you could change that and say, show me Smith in July of 2022. You remember you had somebody, you think his name was Smith and he stayed in July a couple years ago. You could do a quick search this way. Doesn't look like there was anybody there, but you see it reset the date range just to July. So let's just try taking off all of, just show the whole year. There should be somebody. Yep, there's a bunch of people with name Smith in 2022. You could say Jones in summer 2024. And so you see it's doing an AI search because it says AI. We also have this little icon that appears that will show you kind of the filters that were used. So now it's searching in summer 2024. So now let's leave the date range the same. We can just basically even take that off. And let's just say, show me reservations with an outstanding balance. That should just leave the same date range and find anybody that had an outstanding balance from that date range. Yep, there we are. We could say outstanding balance greater than $500. Pretty much it's just taking the AI and applying different filters. So you can see all the balances set there. You could say balance between $500 to $700. So it's just helping filter that down. You can also show reservations with children. Adults, children column here. So those all had children. So show me reservations with more than 2 children. So a lot of different just natural language ways to search the different filters that we've set up. Also number of nights. You can search the total price. Show me reservations where total price was more than $1,000. And that's total price column. Oh, so that's convenient. We are continuing to expand how some of that search works. We'll get, I'm sure, feedback from users and add more features there as we go. And of course, for now, we've enabled the classic view. We've kept that in. So if there's anything missing on here, you can easily switch over to classic view and go back and see how it used to work, and just let us know if you see anything missing. And hit the wrong button. Anyway, that's how that all works, and hopefully you find it useful. Let us know any requests, feedback, and we will be happy to consider it. Thank you.